Hello again, friends. Welcome back. My name is Oscar Montesiga, and thanks for joining me here at the Booze Library of Uncorked Vintage Academia. Happy Tequila Thursday. And today, Thursday, we celebrate with the tequila. Also, just last weekend, you might have been involved, hopefully you're aware, we celebrated International Tequila Day. Some people know it as National Tequila Day, but it is definitely a celebration worldwide. International Tequila Day um, in July. And you may be wondering why we celebrate tequila in July. Um, Definitely, tequila has had several important dates around early July, late July, when they establish certain regulations and laws, declarations, etc. But in 2006, the UNESCO declared tequila as a World Heritage Site, and so we celebrate tequila. Um, with that in mind, I bring you a very fantastic tequila, and I gotta say, this is kudos and shout out to Dove's Lonchonette in Chicago, because I was definitely aware of Siembra Valles, their labels, several labels they have, and obviously that they also make their label Ancestral, but I had never been able to find it at retail. And during, also another shout out to Mezcalistas, during their event in Chicago for Mexico in a Bottle. I was there with the Agave Spirits Institute, representing the school, and we created pretty good interest with the mezcal aficionados and agave spirit aficionados, or Mexican drinkers in general, during the event, Mexico in a Bottle. But while there, and actually on my last day visiting Chicago, I went to Dove's Luncheonette just for lunch, because we were leaving on a week-long road trip to Michigan and visited several distilleries, from north to south, from east to west, you name it. I was likely there. If not, we just didn't have enough time in like 4 days to visit. We visited over a handful of wine distilleries, and I got a case that I transported, that I brought back with me, some Michigan spirits. But I digress. So I was at Dove's Luncheonette, and I was not really thinking about beverages since I had already had my share. But I saw this on their stand, like right where I sat. I saw the Ancestral label. I was like, you know what? Let me taste it. Let me grab a shot, or a dram, a pour. And I got a pour, and I just loved it. So eventually, a couple weeks after I returned to Austin, I saw it at the retail shelves. Another shout out, Austin Shaker, great agave spirit selection, so go visit them. So I was there, and I just took home a bottle. So this is actually made by Tequila Cascahuin. That's the distillery. If you must know, the nom is 1123, but Cascahuin, under the Siembra Valles project, creates this label called Ancestral, and it is 100% Blanco tequila. There is a lot of details on the label that I'm going to quickly go over. The cultivation is from Rancho El Jagüey. The Tequila Regulatory Council gives the agave registration number of 51810. The transport passport number, the planting in 2010, the harvest was in 2016. The lead jimador was Jose Romero. The type of jima was normal at 2 centimeters. That means is when they're shaving the core, the piña, and they're not leaving it too long or too short. The roasting was in a pit oven, underground pit oven, basically, 5 tons, 113 hours. The extraction was through hand maceration with wooden mallets. The fermentation was 100% in oak wooden barrels of 5,000 liters. Natural fermentation, meaning native yeast, natural inoculation of wild yeast, with bagasse included, bagasse fibers. The time was 104 hours. again for fermentation. The distillation was by the master distiller Salvador Rosales Torres. The first run was through Pinewood, Filipino style with bagasse, 300 liters, and the rectification for tequila was Pinewood, Filipino style, 300 liters. On the front, we have a few more details. The date of production, meaning harvest, was November through December 2016. They produced a total of 1,035 liters, and this is lot number 3, bottle number 335, sitting at 50.2 alcohol by volume. This is single estate grown, again from Rancho El Hawaii. The collaboration here, project coordinator for Siembra Valles, is David Suro Piñera. And what we're talking about is a tequila that comes from tequila, right? With ancestral methodology, ancestral technology, the way that tequila was made when tequila started, just like any other mezcal. It started with underground ovens, not with stone brick masonry, above ground steam masonry. And these are boutique distillation techniques with Filipino stills instead of the copper alembic that the Spaniards brought from the Arabic tradition. And so that's why this tequila is called Ancestral, because legally it is still a tequila. It's made in tequila. It's made with blue weber agave, of course. And what distinguishes this from mezcal is that the fact that it comes from tequila and 100% blue weber agave, versus mezcals that are grown with many other agave species and outside of tequila. But this is how tequila started, as it was then known as Vino de Mezcal. Eventually became the most famous Vino de Mezcal from Mexico, and it gained reputation as Vino de Mezcal de Tequila. It eventually got shortened to tequila, and alas, people like them are reviving the tradition of ancestral distillation, just like we have today in many parts of Mexico, with very rustic hand labor ancestral knowledge, and that's how a lot of agave spirits are made throughout Mexico and South America. But tequila, a few years after production, they just became an industrialized product. They started manipulating their distillation to be mainstream, to be more monotonous, to be more standardized, to be more generic, and so they became this industrialized monster by choice. They still have an option to create tequila this way, but not a lot of people do it. There's people that still use boutique methods, like Guillermo Sausa at Fortaleza, and he's still using the technology that his great-great-grandfather, did. But not to an extent to do underground pit, oven, etc. But anyway, tequilas like this exist. There's probably 2 or 3 in the market that are super boutique. And without further ado, happy Tequila Day, and let's give this a whirl. If you can find it, I will encourage you to try it, whether it's just a sip at a restaurant, at a bar, mezcaleria, or retail, of course. The spirit is clear, there's no age, we're tasting neat, so there is no color. On the nose, my initial impact is very subtle, with both slight warming, slight drying, but very soft, very subtle, very gentle. And the aromas include peppercorn, lime zest, roasted jalapeno. There's honey, sweet potato, and quince. Orange zest, peach, apricots, nectarines, aloe vera, pine nuts, pine needles, almonds, and minerality like chalk and wet stone. And there's something beyond the greenness of pine needles and pine nuts. It's like the core of an oak tree, raw oak, raw cedar almost. The aroma production intensity is adequate and complex. And of course, there's no aging other than aging in the glass. We mentioned this was a 2016 production, both harvest and production. So that means it stayed in glass or glass for at least right about 5 to 6 years. So that's the only aging. All those flavors became more well-rounded. Flavors and aroma are rounded. They're already integrated. They're not jumping at you. The production aging length is average and its character is very fine. It does evolve, it changes. I smell now mint, thyme, oregano, became herbaceous as well. So it changes and it's pretty and elegant and complex. So it's very fine. Let's give it a whirl. So mouthfeel effects include mostly warming. It's a rich warming effect with very slight astringency and very slight coating effect, a mouthfeel effect. The alcohol and glycerol are smooth, the body medium full body, and sufficient alcohol. The primary taste includes mostly sourness. It's quite sour with highlights of sweetness and highlights of bitterness. There's a small highlight of piquancy, and under that just a slight touch of salinity. Buttery mouthfeel. And a lot of my aromas are definitely present on the palate as well. So I get the peppercorn, the orange zest, the lime zest, the almonds, the pine nuts, the pine needles, mint. There's again oak wood, raw wood, quince, peaches, apricots, touch of peppercorn, touch of ginger spice, maybe the slightest honey, roasted almonds, and actually this reminds me a lot of not any mezcal necessarily, any mezcal that I've tried, but it reminds me a lot of sotol. Certain sotols, well-crafted artisanal boutique sotols that have this peach chalk pine needle influence from Chihuahua, Coahuilas, Durango. Those sotoles have similar characteristics than what I'm tasting in this tequila right now. The intensity is medium plus towards concentrated intensity of flavor on the palate. The complexity is still complex on the palate. It's a harmonious balance. Everything works well with the body. The astringency, the sourness, the flavors are all well integrated. The finish is very pleasant and very long. You can still taste this well over 10, 13, 15 seconds after you swallow. Pleasant flavors persist on the palate quite for a long time. And the overall impression is excellent. It's an excellent tequila. It's well crafted. It's what tequila should be for the most part. Kudos to Siembra Valles and Cascahuin. Beautiful product of great producers. There's nothing else to say other than it's a great product. We hopefully find it more available in future. My pairing ideas for this is enchiladas suizas. Your green chili chicken enchiladas would be a beautiful pairing, as well as smoked pork tostadas or smoked pork torta. Anything along those lines would be a beautiful pairing for this tequila. And friends, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something new. Happy Tequila Thursday, and happy National Tequila week, whatever you're celebrating, however you can. I couldn't celebrate as much because I was working, but now that I'm resting a little bit, I bring you this to celebrate. And of course, because I hear a lot of questions about this tequila in my forums where I'm, lurking around. Hopefully I'll see it there. Hit me a like, subscribe. I appreciate it. Leave me any comment, questions, whatever you want to taste next. I appreciate you guys. Catch you next time. Salud.